I'm Laura Hughes, and I will narrate the following poster on a contemporary issue in the field of leadership. The topic to be analysed is leadership and diversity. How does effective leadership promote gender diversity in the workplace? The theory will be analysed to examine the effects diversity has in organisations and discover if more female representation is the key to increased output and the influence of leadership in relation to this. Organisations will be compared to determine if the scale of female representation has a direct link to higher output. The poster will illustrate components of contemporary leadership and key issues, including the pros and cons associated with diversity in the workplace. The benefits of this research are that it will assist with identifying the influences leaders can have within their organisations to promote positive change. Challenges are that figures may not directly reflect the actions of the leader or the level of inclusivity an organisation promotes, but may instead be accounted for through personal lifestyle choices and other external influences, including social theory. The aim of this research is to identify the role of leadership in contemporary organisations relating to diversity and inclusion and how leaders can be developed within their organisations. It will also identify issues and make recommendations on problems attributed to the impact of leadership regarding gender diversity and the implications associated with this. Critical analysis: the evolution of leadership studies. Earlier studies on leadership focus on the great man theory, which is the concept of control and power and a common theme of domination. It specifically focuses on the traits that men, and very occasionally women, possessed. King, 1990, discusses the theory and how many effective leaders had widely different personalities. For example, Hitler, Gandhi, and Martin Luther King Jr. This theory, however, is of little use to managers when attempting to develop leaders in their organisations, as personalities are difficult to copy. This early observation implies that the qualities of a leader are associated specifically to males, and this appears to have remained a common theme throughout leadership studies. Trait theory. Northouse, 2021, goes on to analyse the later trait theory that dominated the initial decades of scientific leadership research. This theory attempts to reject links made to specific individuals and instead focuses on the traits that, if adopted, could enhance leadership success and potential. These traits are most often described as intelligence, self-confidence, determination, integrity, and sociability. Transformational leadership. The focus is now firmly on transformational leadership, which focuses on intrinsic as opposed to extrinsic motivation. Northouse, 2021, state that people will commit more to their work if they feel a sense of belonging and satisfaction rather than for financial incentive. Transformational leaders practice a style that inspires positive change in both employees and the organisation, and leaders are expected to be equal parts visionary, mentor, and a source of inspiration. These leaders create a culture of innovation and positive change that leads to successful business outcomes. This type of leadership reflects modern ethics, where all individuals are respected and their diversity is valued. Employees are encouraged to share ideas and assist with problem solving. When people are part of the process, they feel more invested in the product, resulting in high motivation to achieve the task. Gale, 2018, discussed the pros and cons of transformational leadership. By the nature of transformational leadership, employees are taken from their routine work and expected to participate in problem solving and debate, which can lead to workers feeling exploited and overworked for the benefit of the organisation and can result in projects slowing down. However, if managed correctly, after an initial dip, performance has proven to increase as a group enters a performing phase, and data suggests that diverse organisations significantly outperform those who are less diverse. Power and leadership. These earlier theories base leadership success on the decisions and behaviours of an individual and their use of different types of power and persuasion. According to Green, 1999, the use of power has long been associated with the success of one's leadership. Many organisations are made up of hierarchical structure, and legitimate power is given to those in positions of higher authority. Aside from this, coercive and reward power are often utilised by those in formal leadership positions. However, using this approach as a means of influencing can seem self-serving, negative, and can create a sense of fear which restricts the ability for other employees to speak up and share ideas. These types of power, if used unethically, may result in counterproductive leaders, and suboptimal procedures will remain unchallenged. Expert, referent, and informal power can be attained by anyone, meaning anyone in the organisation has the potential to be a leader. Power is about the capacity to direct or influence the behaviour of others, or the course of events. Green continues that power, in whatever form, is an essential commodity in one's pursuit of leadership status. Transformational leaders create an inclusive culture so that individuals have the confidence to use their power to step into leadership positions when their expertise can be exploited for the benefit of the organisation to optimise overall performance. Some organisations, including the military, rely heavily on legitimate and coercive power within their hierarchical system, and for the most part this is effective. Members comply with their managers' wishes, but this may not always be ethical and result in a lack of employee satisfaction, engagement and retention in the long term. Gender diversity in leadership. The benefits of a diverse and inclusive culture are being recognised, and organisations are under pressure to employ a workforce that is reflective of society. Gale 2018 discussed how this has a positive effect on recruitment, retention, sales and reputation. Many organisations are setting recruitment targets, and leaders have a responsibility to ensure an inclusive environment is fostered. Shafir 2018 explained how this can be achieved in several ways, leading by example and encouraging others to follow suit. Leaders should be empowered to challenge inappropriate language in a political manner to ensure certain behaviour does not become accepted as part of the culture. Gale explains the advantages and disadvantages of diversity in the workplace. See Figure 1, Pros and Cons of Diversity in the Workplace. Creating an inclusive environment will encourage all employees to contribute wholly and creatively with the belief that their unique ideas will be valued. For this concept to be a reality, the role of leaders within the organisation plays an integral role at all levels. Education plays a key role. As well as informing on the topic, it gives responsibility to individuals to become champions in the workplace. An example of this could be female focus groups, community groups, and LGBTQ+ groups, which are found in the military amongst other larger organisations. Shafir states how these groups give minority demographics a feeling of belonging, which according to Maslow is part of the motivational pyramid of human needs, which, if fulfilled, will motivate an individual. Many organisations have policy to deal with complaints regarding equality and diversity. Management should ensure employees understand policy and support individuals who use it. The integrity of the company could ultimately depend on how it manages issues, and failure to respond in the appropriate manner could be catastrophic for the reputation. ERHC 2022 reports on the Met Police. In 2016, it was found to have failed in correctly investigating complaints regarding discrimination and harassment from female staff. This example demonstrates how a negative culture can form when individuals fail to call out toxic individuals and often unlawful behaviour. Ethical leadership. The value of diversity in the workplace is being recognised by employers. Although the transformational approach has proven to be the most effective in contemporary organisations, it's also the most ethical. Northouse 2021 state the importance of ethics for the modern leader. Although leaders have more power and control than their followers, they have a responsibility to ensure a positive impact on their lives. Diversity, equity and inclusion, DEI, is an important area of interest for many organisations. McKinsey 2020 state the 3 indications of inclusion: equality regarding promotion, pay and opportunities; openness, including bias, bullying and microaggressions which are actively managed; and belonging, a sense of community built by leaders. A research paper by Gartner 2021 reviews responsibilities line managers have in ensuring a culture of inclusivity is fostered within the workplace. Gartner presents the results of a study conducted to measure talent management processes most susceptible to bias, which suggests bias is a real factor in most organisational processes when making decisions. Unconscious bias can lead to unfair or favourable treatment and should be challenged. For leaders to have the courage to challenge, they must be empowered to be authentic in their approach. The role of a leader is to promote an inclusive culture so that others may follow. Having the right attitude and values creates loyalty within the team and promotes respect. When respect and admiration have been gained by the leader, they are then in possession of referent power, which they can use to further positively influence followers. Barriers to effective leadership, social identity and social categorisation theory. The concept of self-uncertainty can be a significant influence on the effectiveness of a leader. It can influence an individual's drive to self-categorise into social groups, and this is particularly evident when attempting to form cults. Gaffney et al. 2018 explain the issues that can be associated with social identity. Individuals are identified as willingly sacrificing their personal freedom and potentially accept physical harm and emotional harm in return for the reward of feeling secure within a group and seeking certainty from the prototypical strong leader. Examples of this can be seen with the Manson family, Scientology, and the Johnstown Massacre. These dynamics can also be observed during times of radical transformation within organisations, when uncertainty leads to a drive to form cliques and networks to seek security and certainty through group memberships. The conclusion we can draw from this is that there is a positive link between self-uncertainty and the success of prototypical leaders. Prototypical leaders, also referred to as implicit leadership theory or ILT, are often thought to be effective and even charismatic, but they often fail to challenge the system in a bid to avoid conflict. Ultimately, however, this can slow or stunt innovation. Schledsky and Edwards, 2022, have utilised these insights to explore how social identities can be proactively created during periods of organisational change. The theory demonstrates how leaders are prevented from operating authentically and resort to conforming, as it's much more easier to do things they have always been done rather than to shake up the system. Schledsky and Edwards explain how homogeneous thinking can be effective if an organisation wishes to continue with the status quo, but for development and innovation to progress, heterogeneous thinking must occur through the collaboration of individuals from different demographics and backgrounds. When an organisation is made up predominantly of people from the same category of social, ethnic, gender, etc., they're much more likely to fit into the bracket of homogeneous thinking. This significantly limits the possibility of growth and potential to think outside the box. Collaborative working can cause issues. It's much easier for management if a group of people have similar experiences and backgrounds, and this reduces the possibility of conflict. Northouse 2021 conclude that disruption and conflict occur when different perspectives, experiences, backgrounds, thinking, and communication styles are brought into a team. This often results in homogeneous teams outperforming diverse teams in the early stages. A well-managed heterogeneous team, on the other hand, can outperform a well-managed homogeneous team over time. The key is to have a leader who is self-aware, advocate for diversity, and has the inclusive abilities to use a team's differences to improve performance. Findings. A study by Korn Ferry 2022 reports on the positive impact of inclusive leaders, with the majority of respondents strongly agreeing that inclusive leaders empower team members to take risks and bring their authentic selves to work, while also assisting organisations in innovating and capitalising on new business opportunities. Figure 2, Diversity Impact Metrics, provokes quantitative data on the impact diversity and inclusion has within organisations. Shafir 2018 writes for McKinsey that companies in the top quartile for racial and ethnic diversity were 33% more likely to have financial returns above their respective national industry medians, while those in the top quartile for gender diversity were 21% more likely to have financial returns above their medians, according to a study of 1,000 companies in 12 different countries. Companies in the bottom quartile for gender, ethnicity, and race were statistically less likely than normal companies to produce above average returns, indicating they were lagging rather than simply not leading. The success of organisations who invest in equality and diversity is further echoed in the McKinsey Report 2018, Why Diversity Hiring is Important. The report summarises, in 2015, McKinsey & Company found that companies with a diverse workforce performed 15 to 35% better in the national industry median. A report by Natural HR 2021 agreed that greater gender diversity directly responded to high performance. For every 10% increase in gender diversity, earnings before interest and taxes rose by 3.5%. Although the research relating to the effects of gender diversity in the workplace is widely published, there are still many organisations where minority groups are still significantly underrepresented. Burns et al. 2021 reports from McKinsey the numbers of women in the workplace are slowly creeping up, but remain significantly underrepresented. While entry levels for women sits around 48%, there is a steep decline in percentage to just over 20% for leadership positions on average. See Figure 3, Female Representation at Corporate Level. If the key to organisational success is transformational leaders and diverse organisations, then issues regarding the lack of gender diversity must be addressed. With an increased understanding on the importance of diversity in the workplace, employers are setting targets to increase their representation of females with the aim of becoming more diverse. Hardin 2021 writes for UK Parliament website that MOD set a target to increase female recruitment up to 30% by 2030. Between 31st of March 2020 and 31st March 2021, women made up 11.8% of the intake. However, the focus is on recruitment rather than retention. The aim is for women to account for 30% of the intake by 2030 rather than 30% of total personnel. The MOD have seen a steady upwards trend over the years, and efforts continue to balance out the current gender gap. But more focus should be aimed at retention if women are to gain the potential to develop into high leadership roles. Irvine et al. 2022 note on how other organisations such as health and social work and education have upwards of 70% of female staff, although when it comes to leadership positions, women make up less than 40%. On average in the UK, boardrooms are made up of less than 40% females, executive directors sit around 14%, and CEOs are less than 8%, according to Statistica 2021. Although the phenomenon regarding the lack of women in leadership role exists, the labyrinth has proven it can be navigated to overcome the metaphor of the glass ceiling, and there are now more women CEOs than ever before. Hinchliffe 2021 writes for Fortune magazine that 41 out of 500 executives are female in 2021, totaling 8.1%. Although hugely disproportionate compared to men, the trend has seen a continuous upwards trend over the years. Salter and Freeman, 2016, discussed social categorization theory and how this could be responsible for many women reaching the glass ceiling when it comes to advancing through the ranks of leadership. Women feel social pressure to conform to stereotypical norms, and this may prevent them from pursuing high-profile positions or promotions. Northouse explains how most leadership positions are held by men, likely resulting in more men being promoted into leadership positions, which can be accounted for by similarity or attraction theory. These theories demonstrate why the role of a leader is so important in challenging perceptions in order to mould an inclusive culture for women to progress in the workplace. Homogeneous groups are significantly more likely to conform and less likely to challenge. Therefore, if individuals are to be empowered, they must challenge procedures to ensure recruitment and promotions are fair and justified. Conclusions, recommendations. Based on the above findings, the weight of evidence suggests that gender diversity within organisations is positive. Most of the research states that organisations that are more diverse outperform those that aren't, and employee satisfaction is higher. It's the responsibility of managers and leaders to promote a culture of inclusivity, and education should be undertaken to understand roles and responsibilities regarding EDI. Data suggests numbers of women in leadership roles are on the rise, but organisations have a responsibility to ensure all candidates have a fair chance when it comes to selecting individuals for leadership roles. The role of an effective leadership in any organisation is essential for business success. Therefore, it's crucial that those put into leadership roles promote the right culture in order to lead a team towards completion of a common goal. Studies suggest that an organisation which comprises of a diverse mix of people is more successful. This is the result of individuals taking different approaches with regards to problem solving, allowing for a broader range of concepts to be considered, resulting in the most effective solution. This is particularly important in high-level management positions where organisational level decisions are made. One of the barriers to women seeking high-level promotions in the work is work-life balance, and in particular childcare. COVID has pushed employers to implement more flexible working, and this has made the workplace more appealing to women in recent years. Short-term recommendations. It's recommended that flexible working is offered where possible to allow women to return to work whilst managing childcare. Available roles are dependent on organisation and the roles and responsibilities of particular jobs. However, as managers should actively seek to facilitate flexible working where they can. Medium term. Unconscious bias training aims to reduce the negative impact this could have, particularly regarding gender diversity in the workplace. It is recommended that managers implement biannual unconscious bias training within the next 6 months to improve understanding of related issues and to bring personal biases into the conscious mind where they can be logically analysed. The aim of this is to reduce the impact of unconscious bias, and training conducted biannually will ensure new employees are captured regularly and other employees receive regular refresher training. Long term, some organisations have opted to conduct blind interviews where gender is hidden and only experience and education is visible. According to an article by Gale, 2018, when blind auditions are being conducted, more women are preferred than men. It's recommended that organisations aim to implement blind auditions, as this will remove the issue of unconscious bias when making employment decisions and result in a fairer system. It has been identified that similarity and attraction theory reflects how people respond to each other. It's recommended that more female recruiters are employed, in a quest to increase female applications for leadership positions. That concludes the presentation. Thank you for your attention. Laura Hughes.